Hey everybody, Michelle is here on this Friday, getting ready to run some errands and handle my business. But I just want to come through and say this. You can't, as I've said so many times before, you cannot fool your consciousness. Okay? So you cannot fool your consciousness and somehow attempt to dismiss the fact that you are accountable and responsible for your behavior and your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and behaviors. What is going around, as an epidemic, is our ability to attempt to dismiss that, to attempt to dismiss our accountabilities and responsibilities about stuff, and claim and the main thing people do it is through blaming. A lot of people figure, look, if I can just blame so-and-so for this and blame so-and-so for that, that will dismiss me of my accountabilities and responsibilities. In other words, I'll have people looking away from me and then looking towards the problem, so to speak. Or the person, or blame, like I said, seeking to blame others. And we love to do that in the form of blaming politics, blaming entertainers, celebrities. We like to blame people and say that, if this person hadn't done this, if this person hadn't done that, blah, 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 blah. And I tell you, that's futile, foolish, and wasteful. Because eventually you're going to have to answer to yourself. Okay? At the end of the day, and at the end of the day, and at these final hours, hear me carefully, you are going to have to answer for your role in factors relating to yourself and relating to the collective as a whole. So if you just sit back all day long, like a lot of people do, and point fingers and attempt to expose everybody except yourself, you're gonna have a lot of answering and a lot of sort of explaining to do. You're not gonna take anybody with you when your time comes. When it's time for you to, as they say, reap what you've sown. You're not taking anybody with you but yourself. You're gonna be sitting there, in the midst of your chaos and attempt to answer for why you allow certain things to happen and why you attempted to, sweep the blame to somebody else. Yes, it's entertaining sometimes, because that's what it's turned into, to want to point the fingers at somebody else and blame other people. Yes, that's extremely entertaining, and sometimes there is a valid reason to do so, to point the blame on others and say this person is responsible for that and that person is responsible for this. Yes, sometimes that is entertaining, but it's not productive at all. When you want to sit back on your little morals and your self-righteousness, because that's usually what it is. What is he doing? On their self-righteousness, to take the blame and the pressure off yourself, or attempt to bestow yourself as so much more better than any situation or anything going on in the world. We're all in this together. So the sooner you accept that you are responsible for where you stand, and you're responsible for where you will lay your head, wherever that may be, hopefully that can awaken a lot of people. I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And I know it's difficult sometimes to understand, the behaviors of others. Okay, and we all attempt to to justify why people act a certain way. I understand that. And it makes sense to question a lot of things that are happening. But for to keep it going ongoing, where you do not want to take your responsibility for it, because 99% of the time, whatever's happening in your life, you did that. Okay, it wasn't politics, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. You did it. You caused all of this stuff that's happening in your life to happen. Okay? There is no ideal politician. Never will be, never has been. There's nothing ideal about politics in general. So there's a lot of revelations, hopefully, that a lot of us will snap out of. And I know a lot of us will. Because I know that a lot of us have put a lot of work into ourselves to understand, okay, whatever is coming out of my mouth, whatever I hear, whatever I feel, sense, and receive, that's my perception. But is that the reality? And you'll find out that most people are not grounded in reality, unfortunately. And it's a large enough, because like I said, we all are responsible for the evolution of our consciousness, okay? I've said that. That was our main job and responsibility. A lot of us failed for that. We were supposed to collectively elevate our consciousness, but we did not. Okay, so in other words, we failed. Okay, so now a lot of the band-aiding of our cultures and our situations will be done by our children and our descendants. Okay, they're going to be the ones reaping these so-called benefits. All right, the descendants. So, and as I said, as a planet, a mass, MASS, sorry. There's a timeline for material mass. At some point, it's going to disintegrate, and in our case, what happens to a planet that dies? It goes into the black hole. So, but as a planet, there is a time for everything. There's a time for advancing, elevating, and raising. We failed as a collective. So now all of the burdens are going to fall on the descendants. And as I said, Mother Nature is going to step in and correct. And as I've said as well, there are going to be millions and millions of human beings that are just going to be wiped out off the face of the earth. They're going to disappear. They're going to do this. So many things are going to happen. And it's going to be happening right before our eyes, and we're not going to even recognize the things that are happening. Because we're overwhelmed, intentionally overwhelmed. We're too busy. We want to find time to keep ourselves entertained. So, again, you can't keep blaming politics. You can't keep blaming law enforcement. You can't keep blaming injustice. However, you can, because everything is free will. But again, at the end of the day, at these final hours, you're going to have to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, how did I put myself here and why? And see what answers you come up with. And do not attempt to fool your consciousness. That only makes matters worse for you. Do not attempt to fool your consciousness into thinking that you know so much more than you do, that you're so much better than everybody else. Okay, yes, we all are on a certain level of consciousness. We all have a level of consciousness, whereas we are all pretty much, I'm just looking at the way these people drive and park and why they drive and park the way they do. and how they just bump, they'll just ram into your door and not even care, that they hit your door. That's just how that's what I'm saying with the busyness, the not being aware of your surroundings, not paying attention to what you're doing, where you're walking. We're just jumping around and being responsive instead of being reactive instead of being responsive, and looking around, observing, paying attention, and this and that and the other. So I just want to say that despite everything, I still have a lot of love for everyone. But I'm not going to be delusional about what I can and what I cannot do, especially if I'm not considering my behaviors and action first. Okay, to be hoping for, like I said, what does peace look like to everybody? Who's modeled peace for us? So the kind of things that we are wishing for and hoping for, or a lot of it is an illusion. Okay, a lot of it is an illusion. If you, the individual, cannot accept your responsibility for where you are and the state of the planet, but it's more so about what you're doing as far as your behavior and actions are. Okay, so I hope all that makes sense. I hope it all is inspiring. It doesn't have to be. Everything's free will. This is free information. And I just want to say to people out there, make sure you're walking the talk and not rambling, because I can pick it up. Okay, and at some point I'm gonna start calling people out if they don't cut down the rhetoric. Okay, and stop all this projecting all this garbage on the other people, just so you can come out as looking so much more better, superior. I don't know the purpose of it all, but it is a lot of smoke and mirrors, because there's a lot of people walking around in filth and garbage. All you gotta do is, on social media, they're queens and kings and everything in between. But you go to their house, and like I said, it is important whether their dishes have been clean in months, whether their house has been clean in months. Okay, that does matter. Whether their yard has been mowed, if they own property. And I'm going to talk about that too, about the property ownership again. I think I mentioned it before. And all other things that come with that. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and send peace and love, everybody, on this hot Friday. Feel like I'm in an oven. So let me hurry and get up out of this damn vehicle. And I just want to send peace and love, everybody. And trust me, I'll be back.